we know that carrying your groceries out to your car seems a bit old school. That saying hello and asking about your day feels like a thing of the past. Being best at fresh, it's not just a fad. Serving high-quality meat at affordable prices? Talk about a throwback. But at Fareway, that's kind of our thing. Because some things never go out of style. Friendly at Fareway. It's more than just a name.
A fuel choice that even rivals can agree on? Now that's worth the hype. Pump it up with Unleaded 88.
It's time for Instant Iowa, presented by Fareway Meat Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, here are your hosts, Chris Hassel and Andrew Downs.
Well, this is a first. We've never done this before, but we are going live here at halftime of the Iowa UMass game. We joked last week that maybe we should just pre-record it because we know it's going to happen. UMass is terrible. Iowa is going to roll. And that's pretty much what's happened so far in this first half for Iowa. Welcome to Instant Iowa. Chris Hassel, joined by Andrew Downs. We are presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery. Andrew, 30-7. The first quarter was really good. Second quarter had its ups and downs. Iowa is outgaining UMass 246-34, and we figured by this point we know the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
We don't think we're going to see that much more. And if we do, we'll jump back onto socials or do an emergency thing in the second half if that happens. But we think we've seen all we need to see. I want to go to a tweet that you made in the first half where you said, hey, look, I may have said that there's nothing that could happen in this game that could make me feel good about the Iowa Hawkeyes. I lied. Do you still feel that way after the second quarter?
Well, look, here's what I've said is the emotion of the game, right? In the moment, on these Saturday afternoons, Saturday evenings, next week, the emotion of the game is going to be there, man. And I'm going to react to these things emotionally because that's how I am as a fan. Tomorrow, I'll be able to put this all back into perspective. But hey, for the first time, like truly the first time this season, we get to have a Big Grove victory beer. I know the game isn't over yet, but in heaven there is no beer. That's why we drink it here. I got my citrus surfer with lime. It was so hot here today. It's like a full-on summer day. So citrus surfer with lime is my go-to tonight. I'll be having a couple of easy eddies as this game winds down, though.
Well, I've got my Iowa Everywhere Black and Gold koozie that I picked up in Des Moines when I was there, but I couldn't bring back any Big Grove beer. So I'm going to just pretend this is an easy Eddie because I had more than a few when I was back. Incredible on tap at Big Grove, which is the place for the official Iowa Hawkeye watch party for games all throughout the state. Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Solon. They've got the sound on for all the games as well, and great food at Big Grove. We were there last week for one show on Friday night. Scott Docterman joined us, and we were kind of talking about what happens if Iowa loses to Iowa State. Well, it happened, and this is always a really difficult situation, I think, for a team, and it's usually coming out of the Cyhawk game because you've got this really horrible team situated between the Cyhawk game and the start of Big Ten play, and there's almost nothing that you can do to make everybody feel better about what's going on, because if you look really good, AD, like they did in the first quarter, you're saying, why the hell weren't we making some of these play calls against Iowa State last week?
Where the hell has Sam Phillips been for the first 2 weeks of the season?
But we knew this was going to happen.
Yes, and you know
we knew this. We knew Kirk Ferentz was going to. It's UMass. We're going to open things up a little bit. Lester, you can do your thing. You can work your magic. You can run some reverses and throw deep down the field, play action. I just hope that this is the start of something different offensively for Iowa, and I just hope that now that receivers are starting to see the ball thrown their way,
Yes.
but they start catching the goddamn ball as well, because that's been a big gripe from Iowa fans in this game, is the dropped passes.
Yeah, a lot of drops, a lot of issues. And yeah, I mean, my tweet was clearly facetious, and it's like I don't feel that much better, but it is good to see. And it was good to see, especially on that first drive, take a deep pass or take a deep shot right away and convert that, have a couple of touchdowns through the air. Gronowski, another touchdown on the ground. He's having a great game so far. And again, yeah, it's against UMass. This is a bad team. This is what you're supposed to do to bad teams. But coming out of last week, we weren't sure that Iowa was capable of doing this to a bad team. And we'll see how it continues. There's a whole second half. But I think you have to feel pretty good about what we've seen so far, while keeping it in context and understanding that even if they look good, we talked about this last week, Chris, even if they look good Friday night against Rutgers, you're still going to have that question. The real litmus test doesn't come until Indiana comes to town 2 weeks from today. And, who knows what this team will look like then. But, I mean, at the very least, we can enjoy and appreciate a night like this.
Indiana just hung 73 on Indiana State, I believe. I watched some of that game last night. I may or may not have had a live bet on that game. Hope
you had the over.
Well, I had Indiana minus 72.5, and they covered by a half of a point.
Nice.
Boom.
Very nice.
You made a good point, AD. This is a bad team, but it's still live action. It's still a game. You know who else was a really bad team? Albany. Yeah. Or they want to be called Albany. Albany. Really bad team, and Iowa still looked really bad. They look much better in this game.
They do.
Offensively.
Yeah, the passing game. I mean,
I got to crack my beer, by the way. I haven't done that yet.
Because Iowa didn't look bad against Albany in the running game or on defense, right? It was the passing game that was the big issue, and that's where all the focus is, obviously, for good reason. I will say what this first half has upset me more about the Albany game is that the way Iowa just put that into a lockbox, the way that Kirk Ferentz decided we're just going to run it down your throat and get out of here with a 4-score win, instead of trying to work out some of these kinks, instead of trying to get
I think that was a miss. I think that was a miss.
I do too. Yeah, and now that we're 2 weeks removed from that, and we saw how they weren't much better against Iowa State, a little bit better, but not much better, not good enough. And now we see, hey, you're starting to develop some chemistry, and you can afford to have 6 drops in the first half against a team like Albany or UMass. You're not going to be able to afford to do that against any other team on your schedule, even the lower half of the Big Ten teams. And so you're right. It was a miss now looking back, and we probably could have known it at the time. But that's like the one part where I'm like, man, if you would have just let Gronowski work through his struggles, through his head, work through his shoulder, whatever it was, find that chemistry with a guy like Sam Phillips, with some of these, younger wide receivers who haven't gotten, I mean, Seth Anderson, these are his first touchdowns since his first game as a Hawkeye. This is the first time Iowa's scored this many points in a quarter since 2016, right? And so you could have worked all of this out 2 weeks ago against Albany. And that's where I'm like, how much better would you have looked against Iowa State if you had figured some of this stuff out 2 weeks ago?
If you would have just let Lester be Lester and Gronowski be Gronowski and not get inside of his head and all that. That's where I'm going next with our Ackerman Plumbing Flush It. Each week, we flush it. And this week, I want it to be Mark Gronowski completely flushing out those first 2 games. Not fleshing out, flushing those first 2 games. Forget about the first 2 games. I don't want him thinking about those. I want this game moving forward. You're a new quarterback. Hopefully your play caller is being unleashed a little bit. And moving forward from now on, this is more like the offensive play calling we're going to see.
Yeah, that effort mindset that he talked about after the Albany game that we didn't see against Iowa State. Let's hope that continues. I think that's a really good call, Chris. I'm glad to see that Kaden Wetjen listened to the show last week. We told him to flush that game. We said, hey, man, get that. Forget about that. It's over. It's the worst game you've had as a Hawkeye. Let's make it the worst game you ever have as a Hawkeye. And he clearly flushed that game because he's had a great first half, and we may get to him more when we get to the Wyckoff player of the game. But my Ackerman flush it is going to be the special teams. And this is as shaky, as rocky, as up and down as Iowa special teams has looked in decades, man. I mean, you get the 54-yard kick, and that would have been good from 65, much like his kick a couple of weeks ago. Drew Stevens has a leg that I think is really going to come in handy at some point this season. If Iowa needs a 60-yarder, I think they feel comfortable that he can probably do that. But you got the blocked punt, you have the missed PAT, the missed field goal.
And special teams, AD, was one of the main reasons they lost last week.
Yeah,
special
absolutely.
teams was terrible, and Kirk Ferentz was harping on it all week long.
Uncharacteristically so, right? And so this has been an issue now for this team, and we've talked about this before. I talked about it last night on Hawks on Tap. The way Iowa, with this kind of an offense, wins a lot of games is having flawless special teams and elite defense. And if any of those things falls apart, the whole thing kind of collapses. And this special teams worries us right now, or it should worry us right now, because if you can't count on these special teams to be truly special, right, to give you an edge in the game, not just be good, but be so much better than the other teams that it gives you an edge in every game, then you're really in a bad spot for Iowa. And so I think they need to try to flush this game and figure out what that. But here's the problem, and I'm sure Ackerman runs into this all the time. You try to flush something and it gets clogged, right? And now you have to call the professionals at Ackerman Plumbing. And so I don't know that a single flush. This may be a 2 or 3 flusher. The way this special teams has gone so far, man. A single flush isn't getting this down the drain.
Ackerman, this is what you asked for. You asked for the Flush It segment. For all your residential plumbing needs, hit up our friends at Ackerman Plumbing, serving all of Johnson County and the surrounding areas. Go to ackerman-plumbing.com. Special shout out to Corey and Stacy Ackerman, and also Nathan Klosterman. And if you're looking for something, they're looking for something too. A new service tech they are in the market for. Ackerman Plumbing, glad to have them aboard.
Yeah.
AD, I am so hot right now. I don't know about you, but when I go on to like a live show, I get hot, your temperature goes up.
Absolutely.
So I was watching the games and I'm cold. I had like the air was blowing directly. I have like 4 layers on right now, including this Iowa Hawkeye basketball hoodie. Shout out Ben McCullum. Huge recruit commit today. We got a redhead coming.
I got the tie behind me, baby.
Woo! A top 100 recruit.
Ethan Harris.
We might have to start doing instant Iowa basketball this upcoming season.
I'm down, baby. We're back. We're back.
I am going to have to do something that I don't want to do.
You gonna strip for us?
Yes. And please, nope. Seriously,
some
I've got
music?
3 long sleeve shirts on. I'm going to have to.
Bow wow.
I'm going to have to take off some of my clothes. So
I like it.
AD, why don't you give us a little, maybe 30 seconds. You can keep me on camera. I don't care.
All right.
And dive in to Iowa bouncing back this week and heading into Rutgers on Friday. It's a short week.
It is a short week. It'll be interesting to see how they make that trip out to Rutgers. Rutgers who scored 60 points today in a win, and a lot of teams on this schedule look really good. Oh yeah, Chris. Oh yeah, buddy. Look at that. Get that guy on some tea. Mark Gronowski, 11-19, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, another touchdown on the ground, 20 yards, or 16 yards rather, on 5 carries, and just has looked like a whole different player, and has looked like he's found a couple of receivers, specifically Sam Phillips, who 75 yards on 3 catches. And then Seth Anderson, who again, like we've talked a lot about over the last couple of years, he's supposed to have been this guy that came in and made a big difference, and he really hadn't been. I was in Kinnick for that first Caden McNamara game, and the first drive they he throws a touchdown to Seth Anderson. It's like, oh my God, it's a new era of Hawkeye football. And that was like the high point of both of their careers until tonight, when Seth Anderson has had a good game so far, a couple of touchdowns, and has looked good. And that looks good, Chris. That instant Iowa pullover, that you're looking good, buddy.
Oh my God, I'm sweating. I am sweating.
It's the excitement, man. We haven't had a passing offense. No, I'm just
yeah, right. I was back, baby.
And the rushing game, good to see Xavier Williams kind of get the bulk of the carries, 7 carries, 36 yards. They're not going to need to do much from here on out. I don't think we're going to see Gronowski throw for a ton of yards. Part of the reason why Chris and I decided to come on here at halftime is because we think there is going to be some interest, rather than going live, with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. if Hank Brown gets into this game and gets to throw the ball around a little bit, that's something we all want to see. And then whatever the post game looks like for Kirk Ferentz, and we can go there with his 206th win, passing Woody Hayes, the winningest Big Ten coach of all time. It's an incredible accomplishment, and I think that's something we're going to be able to celebrate. It'll be fun to see emotional night. It'll be fun to see tributes from players and other coaches and everything over the next couple of days. It sucks it didn't happen last week in Ames. We can all agree on that. It sucks it happens against a bad UMass team. But Todd Brommelkamp last night on Hawks on Tap was saying, hey, I think that's probably more fitting that Kirk Ferentz gets this win against a team like this and a game like this. And regardless of who the opponent is, it's going to be a fun time to kind of honor and remember, and leading into the game, the feature that they put together on the Big Ten Network. How do you take over a legend? You become a legend yourself, or whatever the wording was there. It's going to be fun to kind of soak this up. So you and I thought, hey, let's get on here. We've seen what we needed to see from this game. Let's do this during halftime. People are going to want to watch. They're going to want to be a part of this, and then we'll all just kind of watch the second half together.
It's Instant Iowa. Chris Hassel, Andrew Downs, presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery, and that's where I'll go next. Everything that you say about Kirk Ferentz, and there are jokes to be made. And we've had our fun. We still will throughout this season. The guy deserves a statue outside of Kinnick Stadium. I remember 1999 when he was hired. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody.
No.
I was like talking to I asked my dad, like, who, what? I thought we were getting Bob Stoops.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. You were not only did not know he wasn't the guy you wanted. You were pissed off. Most people were pissed off.
You're like, it's this offensive line coach from the Ravens? Who? What? And he comes in, and Iowa fans didn't know it at the time, or at least I didn't. And I don't think my dad did either. We didn't realize how bare the cupboard actually was, because Hayden Fry had a team in 97 that was loaded. Tim Dwight, Tavian Banks, Cedric Shaw might have been on that team too. They were a top 15 team, thought they could have a huge season, had some moments, but ultimately fell well short of their goals and then kind of fell apart toward the end of the season. And then 98 was not good.
No.
But did not realize how bare that cupboard was. Kirk Ferentz comes in, and it's just loss after loss after loss after loss after loss. 2000 season comes, and again, loss after loss after loss. Oh, they finally got a win. And then I remember they picked up a couple of Big Ten wins. And the last game of the season was at home against Northwestern. And I went to the game. And it wasn't sold out. There were probably 60,000 people there. Northwestern was in the top 20, top 15. They were playing for a berth in the Rose Bowl. And Iowa beat their ass. And I remember thinking then, here we go. He's got this thing turned around. And then all of a sudden, 2001, you make the Alamo Bowl, and Nate Kaden kicks the game winner there. And then, boom, 2002, the best team of the Kirk Ferentz era. A team, in my opinion, if there wasn't a month and a half long layoff between the end of the season and that Orange Bowl, was one of the best teams in the country and could have beat just about anybody in the country, but they didn't get a chance to play Ohio State.
Would have loved to see that game.
Their last game was like November 15th, and then they play again on New Year's. That didn't happen anymore. I thought that was really unfair. And then back-to-back years, they finish in the top 10. What he did there in that span, what he built so fast, was incredible.
And then each time you've kind of thought, hey, it's gotten away from him a little bit. It's nearing the end. It's over. Whether that be before 2009, whether
hey,
that
I
be
go back to
the end of
2006.
Yeah,
you remember 06? So they got Drew Tate, and they're rolling, right? You know, they have the Hail Mary win in the Capital One Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Go into 06, and you've got this marquee game against Ohio State at Kinnick Stadium under the lights, lot like tonight, looked just like tonight, gold out, sun setting, top 15 showdown. Iowa loses that game, and then they end up going 2-6 in the Big Ten. 2007, Jake Christensen is the starter. They were terrible. Lost to Western Michigan in the last game of the year, missed a bowl game. I was thinking right then that was it. And in 2008, they lose a bunch of tight games early in the season. And then they just, they find it. They upset number 2 Penn State in one of the greatest games at Kinnick Stadium history. Tyler Sash with an interception late. Sean Green had a big touchdown run. And then they kick a field goal to win it at the buzzer. And then 2009 is the second best team in Iowa history. And you go into that cycle again and you're thinking, 2012, 13, 14, what is going on?
The end of 14, I think, is as bad as it ever got. The Hawk Slayer Bowl, I think that's as close as most fans have gotten to like being fully over Kirk Ferentz. And they come back and start 12-0.
And then ever since then, it's basically been the floor is 8 wins.
Yeah. And they've gotten 10 wins.
Look, you can pick it apart. You know, you can pick it apart, especially since 2022.
Yeah.
You're not beating the best teams.
Nope.
But, you know, when you look back at this as a whole, the different rebirths that he's had, that Iowa never, because I called for him to be fired multiple times. You know, I wouldn't have waited that long.
Right.
But you know, it was probably the right move. It was probably the right move to stick with him. And I don't think we'll ever see this again, AD. I really don't either.
And I think it's going to be a really interesting and new era when he does go, because whether Iowa gets a great coach or not, you're almost never going to have another coach like we've had in these last two.
Not just us. I don't know that we'll ever see a coach win that many Big Ten games. I don't know that, or at least with one school.
That was David Eichholt was saying that last night. He's like, when he sets this record, it's probably set for, I mean, a long, long, long time. Maybe not ever, but a long, long, long time. You know, you talk about that turning point game for you. For me, it was my freshman year at Iowa, 2001, and it's funny because it was in the loss to Michigan, and I remember being so upset about that loss. But that was a top 10 Michigan team in Kinnick Stadium, and that it was like one of those moments where it's like, man, we should have beaten that team, and I'm this upset. That tells you, you know, it's one thing to beat a team. It's another thing to like think you should have beat a team that most people didn't think you should be on the field with. And that was one of those where it was like, okay. And then you're right, that Alamo Bowl, it was like, hey, there's really something going on here. And yeah, the rest is really history. We went through on Hawks on Tap last night some of our favorite wins in the Ferentz era. And you know, I think there were 3 from that 2009 season.
That was a great show. For anybody that didn't see Hawks on Tap, it still holds up. It's an evergreen show talking about the rest of the season and Gronowski and all that. Yeah, because what can you really take from tonight?
We were in deep dive in UMass.
Second half is underway, by the way. Iowa's up 30-7 if you're watching this live. What do you want
to see in this second half? I mean, I want to see Iowa get a turnover, at least one. They haven't had turnover in 4.5 games now. This defense needs to have a turnover. I really want to see that. Outside of that, I guess I do want to see Hank Brown throw the ball around a little bit. I don't know if they'll let him.
I don't think they'll let him.
See it.
I don't think they'll. I think that he's gonna get in at a point in the game where they're just gonna want to get in, get out, hand the ball off, maybe throw it a couple times. I don't think we're gonna see much from him. I would like to. That's where
I mean, whatever, you know, just win, baby. That's
where AD. That's where I would go. Is this defense again? I think it's good. Maybe it could be really good. I don't think it's great. One of the things that they're missing is the big plays, the turnovers, the scores. They did get a couple sacks in the first half, which they need more of those. They've really been lacking on quarterback
really
pressure and sacks.
A lot of pressure.
But outside of that, we just got a touchdown. Guess who? Kaden Wetjen, 59-yard punt return, I believe. Actually,
94 yards.
95 yards officially. I'm reading the stat
now.
broadcast,
I'm
which is
stat
broadcast can't even keep up with Kaden Wetjen at this point.
Baby.
It's incredible.
Kenzo, shout out to Kenzo. That's her cousin.
That game last week was an anomaly. I'm so glad that he's put that away. I'm going to read the stats right now. He's got 236 return yards in there. All-purpose yards in this game. 20 rushing for a touchdown. 34 kickoff return. 182 punt return yards and 2 touchdowns for Kaden Wetjen, who had a miserable week last week and flushed it. Thanks to Ackerman Plumbing, we called it, took it at the 5-yard line, broke it out to the sideline, broke a tackle, hesitation, gets a block, cuts it back to the middle of the field, and he gone.
Yeah, as Big T says, ran like a mile. And yeah, I'm throwing up the Wyckoff Heating and Cooling Player of the Game graphic right now. Wyckoff, a piece of mind.
Well, who are you going to leave me with? If you're going to take him, jeez.
We can both take him. But Mike Halas tweeted this in the first half. Iowa's Kaden Wetjen now has 4 career touchdowns, now 5, but there's 1 rushing touchdown, 1 reception, 1 kickoff return, 1 punt return. You said, hey, let's let him throw the ball. Let's see that. Let's let him throw the ball. Screw Hank Brown. He has next year. Let's let Kaden Wetjen get in there and throw the ball. And then the Daily Iowans, Brad Schultz said, per Iowa Sports Information, Wetjen is believed to be the first Hawkeye in program history to record a rushing, receiving, return, and kickoff return touchdown in a career.
Wow.
And
that's incredible.
For a school with a lot of good history with return men, for him to be doing things that nobody else has ever done, it's incredible.
I'm gonna go.
He's limping now.
Yeah, he's limping a little bit. Jeez, I hope that's just exhaustion. I'm gonna go Gronowski just because.
Yeah.
I think even though the numbers they don't stand out, 11 of 19 for 160 and 2 touchdowns. He's rushed it 5 times for 16 yards and a touchdown. It's at least a hell of a lot better than anything he did in the first 2 games, and
it's steady improvement, right? It's a step each week.
And it seemed like there was a little bit more confidence from him. It seemed that way. Like on that opening drive, when he hit that slant for the touchdown, he's making a gesture to the crowd. It seems like he's got a little something more, and maybe he's starting to turn it around mentally, because I think, honestly, I think a lot of what is going on with Iowa's passing game is mental, whether it's Gronowski, Lester, or Ferentz, or the wide receivers. The wide receivers aren't seeing the ball thrown their way. Sometimes when it is, it's not even close. So, and they haven't worked with Gronowski that much. Ferentz, we know what he's doing. He's bottling up the passing game and Tim Lester's game plan. And Lester's thinking, geez, if I make one call, Ferentz is going to say, oh, that's it for the game. We're going to take it and we're going to run it every time. And Gronowski, I think his head was all over the place in these first few weeks of the season. So I am going to go with my Wyckoff peace of mind player of the game, because that's what we want right now. We want some peace of mind. Please. Of mind. It's Mark Gronowski for me, and it's just more about what he didn't do. And Nick, Iowa State fan in the YouTube comments saying Iowa fans all bubbly, beating 0-2 UMass is fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
We were going to do an emergency Instant Iowa podcast right after the Iowa State game if they lost.
God.
We were going to do an Iowa State loses at Arkansas State Instant Iowa podcast and just have a field day. Now, it would have also gone the other way, because we would have been like, Conradi back-to-back years is making 54-yarders to beat Iowa, and he's missing PATs and pulling field goals, and it looked like he might have gotten hurt. And this Arkansas State quarterback looks like, why didn't we go after him in the portal? Jesus, he looked great against Iowa State.
That is, I mean, because, I think a lot of people, you can, again, out of context, kind of justify last week's loss as, hey, you're playing at a top 15 team in a rivalry game and you only lost by 3 on a deep late field goal. You can't be that upset about it. Man, Iowa State looks a little bit like a paper tiger, man. As how bad Kansas State has been. Now, maybe that's the Ireland curse that seems to happen to teams who lose that game, but
I don't think we'll know that much about Iowa State until they really get into the meat of the Big 12 schedule, because I'm willing to say, and I'll talk about this much more on Two Guys on Monday. You guys will talk about this much more on Murph and Andy on Monday as well. But this was such a bad spot for Iowa State. Thank God Iowa does not play on the road at G5 schools anymore.
Jesus. I mean, it hasn't in 20 years.
Almost 25 years.
Like, why would you?
They do it to save money. But well, Pollard, I know. Matt Campbell does not want to play these games.
No.
But Jamie Pollard is scheduling these games. They're going to go to Bowling Green.
That's insane.
In a couple of years.
Yeah, I saw
that is just a horrible, horrible spot.
Somebody was like, "Hey, let's never go back to Arkansas State." I was like, "Yeah, until you schedule another home with them in 7 years."
That blew me away. I'm not sure about Iowa State, but you know what? We're not sure about Iowa either.
No, we're not. And
maybe Iowa State's not as good as we thought. Maybe Iowa's better than we thought. I don't know.
And like we said, even though Rutgers had a really nice game today, and that's a short week, and you go on the road and you start Big Ten play, even if Iowa looks really good in that game, you're not going to feel like everything is hunky-dory unless they go and look really good against an Indiana team that looks pretty dang good. And this schedule doesn't get easier. I mean, the schedule we were worried about in the offseason is probably more difficult now than maybe a lot of us thought it was going to be. I mean, Oregon, Penn State, USC.
Oregon looks...
Those don't look like really winnable games to me. I guess I haven't looked at the latest USC score. I know they weren't up on Purdue as much as I thought they would be.
It was 20-10 at halftime.
30-17 now in the fourth quarter. But that's a tough trip out west. Iowa doesn't do well in that. I think USC, that again, I think those are three games that don't really feel winnable right now. Nebraska and Indiana both look good. Rutgers scored 60. Wisconsin, I think will beat them. Minnesota, I'm not super worried about. Rutgers, I'm not super worried about. But
yeah, that'll be an interesting game next Friday night.
I think so too.
It'll be another late night for us. That's not.
And they want to beat Iowa bad, man. Like, every year
Iowa's destroyed them
every year, and they feel good about themselves. I mean, for years I did this opposition research podcast for Hawkeye Nation, and every time the person I talked to would be like, "Hey, this is the year. Our fans hate losing to Iowa. They'd never understand. We always." And it's the same thing you've heard from other schools for 2 decades, but they're just not quite used to it. Like, why every time we play Iowa does it turn into this ugly game, and like we don't play like ourselves? And it's like, yeah, man, that's what Iowa does to people. And so yeah, this will be interesting Friday night. But again, you're not going to feel like this team has gotten totally out of its funk until they beat a good Indiana team in a couple of weeks in Kinnick Stadium.
So Kirk Ferentz winning number 206, becoming the Big Ten's all-time winningest coach. He's got to get one of these this season. He's got to get at least one of Indiana, Oregon, Penn State. They're all at home. They're all at Kinnick. And honestly, I think you should get 2. These are at Kinnick Stadium. This is where we used to say top 5 teams go to die.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Long time ago. It's been 4 years now.
Coming into the season, the way I was able to build a 9-3 record for Iowa was like this. You get 3 of the 4 trophy games. They've already lost one of those. So now you have to beat Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. I thought 2-2 in the toughest games. So that would be Indiana, Penn State, Oregon, USC. You go 2-2 in those games, and then you win the other 4, and that basically throws Michigan State and Rutgers in with these other non-conference.
Look,
games.
If they do that, that's a great season.
Still possible, but losing that Iowa State game really puts them behind the 8 ball on that, because now you have to kind of run that. And again, Nebraska looks good. Who knows what that game will be for come Black Friday for that team. I mean, they haven't been to a bowl in a decade, right? So like they have, and they hate losing to Iowa too. It feels like there's a lot of schools that are like really want to get over on the Hawkeyes and really want to beat Kirk Ferentz in one of their last opportunities likely to do so. And so
because he's owned those, I mean, he's owned Minnesota.
Absolutely.
He's owned Nebraska.
And really,
Martin with a nice comment on
James
X.
Franklin had a really good record against Penn State, but
for a while
that's been rough.
Yeah. Martin says, "Thank you, Kirk Ferentz, for making my Saturdays interesting and my Sundays more fun cheering for former Hawks." That's one of the things that maybe we don't give enough credence to, is all of the great NFL players he's churned out over his 25 years. It really is amazing.
It's incredible
what he's done with a lot of guys that came in as 2 stars, guys that nobody else wanted, turn them into great NFL players. This is Instant Iowa, presented by Fareway. on Iowa Everywhere. Chris Hassel and Andrew Downs with you. Want to thank the Iowa Corn Growers Association. You can pump it up with ethanol at the pump, and you're helping support Iowa's farmers. Iowa, the number one corn growing state, and every choice you make can support Iowa farmers. When we played the pump it up going into, I think it was like going into Instant Iowa last week or something, I saw it after Iowa had lost to Iowa State, and I was thinking, if I was in my car and I went to the pump to fill up after Iowa State won that game, and some Iowa State fan tried to come like pump it up, dance with me, I would have kicked that person right in the balls. Right in the balls. If it was a man, of course. If it was a woman, I guess I'd just flip her off and walk away. There is no dancing after that game.
No.
But
no, and it's been a rough week here in Iowa, man. You're kind of separated from it. I know you get it on social media, but like it's and especially because the tide has fully turned. This isn't Iowa State jumped up and got you.
You know what, AD?
It's Iowa State's the better football program, and that's a.
I've noticed that nationally
pill to
too.
swallow.
I went into work on Monday and
Getting another beer.
A lot of guys knew that I went back to Iowa for the game and know that I'm an Iowa fan. And that's kind of the sense from our national reporters, is that Iowa State is the cooler, hipper, better program with a perceived better future than Iowa is right now.
Well, they got the young coach. They've got the coach that the NFL is trying to hire away, and
on
somehow,
the rise. They're cranking out NFL players now.
Yeah,
they're
like
beating
7
Iowa
years ago,
3 of 4.
Kirk Herbstreit said he gone, and he's still
Right.
here. They've built something really special there in Ames. The thing is, this can flip very quickly with the amount of money Iowa has coming in from the Big Ten. And when I gave my thoughts on Monday, both on the CW pod and in the bit I recorded for Iowa Everywhere, where I kind of gave because if you go back to Instant Iowa last week, I started to kind of formulate this in my head, and we were so in the moment and reacting live like we do, which was what makes this show great. But man, I went home and I was just thinking, and like literally I was sitting at church on Sunday morning, and like I'm just the guys up there talking about God knows what, and I'm just sitting here thinking about Kirk Ferentz. And it's just in my head. And I was like, I just got to get this off my chest. I got to like put this down so I stop thinking about it. And, I got a lot of people who responded positively and negatively as anything happens on social media these days. But a lot of the negative stuff was, we can't let him tank this program. And while I don't think that'll happen, because I don't think this team is bad enough to like fully tank, right? This isn't a Hayden Fry's last season type of team. And at this point, like 6-6 feels like a basement. That is a little ridiculous considering how bad it could really get. But also things can change so quickly in the NIL era with the transfer portal. I mean, you hire the right coach and you can be right back on top very quickly. Now you hire the wrong coach, like Wisconsin seems to have, and it falls apart very quickly too.
I don't know that it seems to anymore. I watched a lot of that game today against Alabama. Look, I get that it's Alabama, but it's not Nick Saban's Alabama.
No.
Wisconsin is in big trouble.
Yeah, I think.
And I applauded that hiring.
Oh, it was a great hire. It seemed like a great hire. It was Iowa hiring Todd Licklider, right?
I was jealous. Yeah, I was jealous. I thought that, but at the same time, I don't want whoever the next person is. I don't want some guy in here like running the spread offense, air raid, all that shit. I want, you know what? I would love to see an offense and a program like Matt Campbell has at Iowa State. It's really not that far away from it's very similar.
It is very similar.
A bunch of tight ends.
Yep. Same
but
philosophy.
But it's evolved. It's not
21st
predictable.
century.
Yeah, it's not predictable like Iowa very often is against good teams. So maybe Pat Hardy wrote an article. I don't know if you saw that Iowa should call Matt Campbell up when they're
I did see
looking
that.
for
You're
a
right.
coach. Hey, yeah. Pat, dude, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
They should. I really don't think he's going to listen. I mean, that son of a bitch has turned down, He's turned down USC. He turned down the Detroit Lions. He's turned down other NFL jobs. You really think that he's going to...
If he wants to coach the top level of college football, Chris, he's not doing it in the Big 12.
If he wants to coach in Johnson County, Iowa, he's going to have to take that job. Yeah, absolutely, Beth Getz should make that call.
Oh,
no
chance. Be on the list.
No chance, Matt Campbell, unless they totally fall apart and his star falls off and he's got no other options. I don't see him even entertaining that. But that is a kind of program. That's what I see.
Yeah.
Like the next version of Iowa being. And
it's going to be interesting because we have never had to deal with, as Hawkeye fans, the kind of constant churn of coaching rumors and like legitimately calling for people's jobs and maybe worrying if you get a guy from a, group of 5 school who does come in and win a Big Ten championship, does he go then to the SEC or to Ohio State, right? Like, you're not going to have another coach who stays here for 2 decades. And Iowa fans, myself included, I'm not ready for a world in which Iowa has to change football coaches every 5 years, right? Like that's just not the world I've lived in. We've had 2 coaches my entire life. I'm in the 40s. It's
unbelievable.
I mean, I was in high school when Kirk Ferentz was hired, right? Like we have not seen a Iowa football coaching search in my adult life. I have a kid going to middle school next year. Like, I mean, it's wild, but I'm not emotionally ready for it. I don't know that anybody is. It's going to be a really interesting period for Hawkeye fans, regardless of who the next coach is, because again, if you get the winner, who's to say he stays here for 15, 20 years, and more likely than not, I mean, it's a better than average chance you get somebody and it all takes a step down.
AD, you see my new hat up there?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
AD got us. Well, you see that I'm wearing some Instant Iowa gear. I've got the new Instant Iowa hat. Oh, geez, I got a big head apparently, really big head. I do.
Oh, that looks good.
For whatever reason, I do have more hope for the rest of the year after just getting one game away from that Iowa State
something about
game.
The shadow of that, where it looks like one of those like biker hats. With like the really little bill.
It's not little. See?
No, it looks good.
Any closing thoughts here as we wrap up UMass and now move into the real schedule here? Not that Iowa State wasn't real. It was absolutely real. But now it's Rutgers, and then, bam, you're into it.
Enjoy tonight. Enjoy Kirk Ferentz's 206th win as a Hawkeye coach. I mean, the fact that the winningest coach in Big Ten history is an Iowa Hawkeye is mind-boggling. So yeah, enjoy this. Don't take it for what it isn't. But if you're gonna feel terrible after losses, regardless of the loss, try to feel good after wins, regardless of the win. I'm not saying put on your black and gold glasses and predict Iowa to make the Big Ten championship game or anything like that, or to even go 9-3. But let's try to enjoy this. That's what I'm going to do at least. As I said last week, I need to have a different perspective on how I go into these games, but I'm going to enjoy the wins as much as I ever have. We only have so many more wins with Kirk Ferentz as the head coach, and this is a big one regardless of who the opponent is. So I'm excited to watch the rest of this and go Hawks.
Cheers to Kirk Ferentz. Like, look, he's got his downfalls.
Wish I had a pint of Ben and Jerry's to cheers him. He'll have a couple. I bet it's a 2-pint night for.
If we could just tweak Kirk Ferentz just a little bit, just like if he was like a machine, just tweak him, just crank it just a little bit more, caring about offense and quarterbacks and all.
If we could clone him. Hey, how about this? If we could hire his son to run this whole thing, like a next generation Ferentz. With the same mindset, but in the new generation, maybe younger.
I bet he would run a really good offense and be a real quarterback whisperer.
If we could clone Kirk Ferentz, I'd hire him every 27 years.
Hey, thanks for joining us. It was a different kind of show. If you're listening after the fact, we started at halftime,
and there was a long injury timeout. Something happened with a UMass player, and so I mean we still got 9.5 minutes left in the third quarter here.
Yeah, and UMass only has 48 total yards. We knew this was going to be like this.
First quarter yardage 160 to -10.
Oh my God. Let's be happy to put Albany and UMass behind us and go beat the shit out of Rutgers like we always do next Friday night, and we will talk to you then. We'll come on. I doubt we'll be coming on early next week. I feel like that might be a game where we need to at least go until the 2-minute timeout. But God willing, the Hawkeyes will start off 1-0 in Big Ten play, and then that Indiana game at home will have some juice. Will be interesting because you win that, and then all of a sudden, everything is out there again. Our thanks to everybody that tuned in here for our halftime show. This is our Instant Iowa for the week. Unless something big transpires, then we will reconnect with you, likely on social media at some point. But we think we're in a pretty good spot with this Iowa-UMass game. And the Hawkeyes will be heading into Big Ten play at 2-1. And Mark Gronowski's got his mojo back, baby.
He's feeling it a little bit. He's feeling it.
The championship quarterback is back. For Andrew Downs, I'm Chris Hassel. Our thanks to Fareway Meat and Grocery for sponsoring this little show that we do. Thank you so much for making it all possible.